Have you ever played a game where you saw the previews and thought, this looks like something I would wait to hit the bargain bin? Now, have you ever gone against your gut feeling and taken that dive anyway? Unlike the majority of the games in the Lord of the Rings universe, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor is one that you should purchase way before it hits the bargain bin. I never really followed this game, to be honest. Like I said, I thought it was just another bargain bin game. I always overlooked the trailers and any other videos about it. But fortunately for Shadow of Mordor, September has been dry of good games, so this game had my full attention. I thought I was going to have trouble doing a review on this game because I was expecting to play it a good amount to have to fully understand the game and its potential. But that's not the case here. After a few hours, you can see the direction the game is headed. There is one thing though that I wasn't expecting, and that would be the Nemesis system.
But we'll talk about that when I start discussing the gameplay.
Though the story isn't something that's really memorable, it's good for what it is, a typical revenge story. The game starts out with the protagonist named Talion, who is guarding the Black Gate which divides Middle-earth and Mordor. He's then attacked by orcs, which leads to the death of his comrades and his family. He's then revived by an elven wraith who he's tied to for unknown reasons at the time. You team up to find the murderer of your wife and also to find out why you are tied with the wraith over the course of the story. If I was to describe the gameplay in Shadow of Mordor, it would be a mix of Assassin's Creed's movements combined with the Batman series combat. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The movement is very fluid and I rarely get stuck anywhere. The movement is all done by simply holding the space button, which is funny considering Assassin's Creed has sprint and free running on the same button as well. Though, Assassin's Creed can be janky at times when scaling things. That's not the case with Shadow of Mordor. Scaling things is a complete breeze and you can easily do it with your eyes closed. Combat on foot is where this game really displays its ability to mimic other games. If you've ever played any of the Batman or Arkham games, then you would know that this game copies that combat almost to the T. Every single fight is done by rapidly tapping left click to attack with occasional right click to counterattack. Hell, even the space button and finishes do exactly the same as the Batman games. There's no originality in the combat whatsoever besides the killing animations, which are pretty good. This type of combat offers no immersion or diversity whatsoever. It's just a constant repeated cycle with little to no variation. Attack, attack, counter, attack, counter, and maybe you would have to stun, especially with bigger enemies. This, then again, is exactly like Batman. It's a shame the developers couldn't add their own style of fighting. The Nemesis system is the redeeming point for this game. This system allows different ranks of enemies, called soldiers and captains, to rank up and become stronger. What makes this system stand out, though, is that it's completely happening in the background. These background activities include a soldier fighting a captain for the captain slot, or a captain fighting a war chief for that slot. Orcs in the Nemesis system could even be related, so if you kill one, then you will enrage the other. Other things factor in ranking up as well. Should a normal soldier kill you, then he has a chance to immediately jump up to a captain rank. Same as for orcs ranked as captains. Now, if he constantly died to the same enemy, then he would get stronger each time. Should they get a chance to flee while in battle with you, then the orc will remember specifics of this encounter with you and remind you. This is the originality that I was expecting from a game like this. Now, let's move on to the graphics. The graphics for this game are actually pretty good, especially when running everything on Ultra except for textures, which sadly I have to leave on high. Not because it's too demanding, but because of the ridiculous requirement needed to run it. First, you have to download the added 9 gig Ultra texture pack. Then you have to make sure that your graphics card at least has 6 gigs of VRAM. Sadly, I've been playing with a GTX 780 which only has 3 gigs of VRAM. To distinguish the difference between Ultra and High, I had to look at comparison photos posted on Eurogamer, which clearly shows that the difference is very minimal and not even worth it. So for those with only 3 gigs of VRAM and lower, don't fret, because you're not missing out on much. My 780 is keeping me stable at 70 to 80 FPS, with everything except for Ultra textures obviously. One of the gripes I have with the graphics is the lack of anti-aliasing. There's no option whatsoever to change what type or how much you want. I don't know how a studio as well known as Monolith can make a PC game with no anti-aliasing. I don't even know what they were thinking since their previous games like Fear had it. I haven't even tried forcing AA through Nvidia's control panel, even though I shouldn't really have to. What really sets this game apart is the amount of detail the enemies have. Each individual orc is amazingly detailed. Their armor and facial expressions never look the same as another. Well, I can't exactly say that, but I have yet to encounter two orcs that looked exactly the same. The cuts, bruises, and scars really show the troubles each orc has gone through. This amount of detail should be included in every game so that it feels unique. The main character Talion is very detailed as well. His robes and armor are intricately designed with all little markings on things like his gauntlets and belts. The fur fits well with his overall outfit and doesn't look like it's randomly placed. The only problem I have with his design is his face. I stated that all orcs are uniquely designed, but Talion's face is way below expectations. Talion's face has nothing to really try and sell you that he's a human. There are really no creases to show his age or any emotions at all. Here's a pic showing his face in the middle of battle. It's hard to sell me on his expressions when there's nothing to signify that this character is happy, mad, or even sad. He's just very bland in general. Lastly, one thing I've hated since I started playing is the water on the floor in the first area. The water is completely static and flat, so when anything walks over it, nothing happens. Certain areas may have a little mud splash, but the water won't ripple to show you or the enemy is interacting with it. Though it may not be huge for others, it breaks the immersion, especially when fighting huge crowds of enemies, because you would expect huge crowds like that to create some splashing. Other than that, the graphics are great. Middle-earth's Shadow of Mordor is a complete package with minor flaws. Though the flaws may seem to hurt the game in the review, I believe the good that this game presents outweighs the flaws. This allowed me to look past some of the negative gameplay elements. If you enjoy a good story and just love hacking orcs come to death, then this game is definitely for you. Now, to score the game, I don't like the numbering system because of the problems it could cause. So I will basically be rating my games by choosing either don't buy, maybe, or must buy. Don't buy is basically the game blows and you shouldn't waste your money on it. Maybe solely depends on your taste, as the game may not please me, but it's not terrible, so you should look more into it. Must is a definite buy. So, without further ado, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, I'll be giving this title a must buy. It kept my attention all the way through and provided me with hours of fun like a game should, all while coupled with a good story. If you purchase it, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe for more content. Have a nice day, and as always, see you next time.